Russia contemplates constitution changes as Putin faces term limits.
Here's a summary of the article.
The Speaker of Russia's parliament raised the possibility of changing the constitution as speculation grows that the Kremlin is considering ways to allow President Vladimir Putin to remain in power beyond the end of his current term, when current law requires him to step down. The comments from Vyacheslav Volodin, Speaker of the State Duma and a top member of the ruling party, at a scripted Kremlin meeting with Putin late Tuesday were vague and didn't mention succession. Analysts said they showed the authorities already are preparing the ground for changes before the end of Putin's current term in 2024. There are questions in society, esteemed Vladimir Vladimirovich, Volodin said, addressing Putin in the respectful form, according to a Kremlin transcript. The Kremlin's tight control over the political system would make it easy to approve constitutional changes if Putin backed them. Earlier this month, Putin said the constitution is not some fossilized legal construct but a living, developing organism. At his annual press conference last week, Putin said any changes to the basic law are a matter for broad civic discussion, though he wasn't specifically asked about amendments to allow him to remain in power. Political analysts and government insiders have been discussing the possibility of constitutional changes for months as the focus on the end of Putin's term grows.
This post received a score of 21,822, with an upvote ratio of 95%. Here are the top comments in response to this article.
Putin prolonging his term? Nobody could have seen that one coming.
And he's only 66, so it might be a very, very long term.
There should be much more noise about Syria. Trump literally just handed the country over to Putin on a silver platter. This is huge. Their investment has paid off. Edit: Trump's senior advisor is pro-Assad.
You thought that immigration crisis was hard for Europe? Just wait until Putin makes it 100 times worse just to destabilize the continent more.
Putin, Russia would never have the capital, population, resources etc. to launch an actual attack on any EU, NATO country. Next best thing, this.
Now, why would Putin destabilize Europe? What's the end game?
Russia is facing one of the all-time great demographic collapses. Fertility fell off a cliff after 1990 and now it's 29 years later. There are not nearly enough young men now to fill out a military large enough to defend Russia's massive border, by far the longest in the world. Russia is still a federation that could split up far more than it already did in 1992. As do the private fortunes of many of the oligarchs that have united behind Putin to run the show. More importantly, the second, far more ambitious aim would be to re-establish Soviet satellites and vassals, from Poland to the Balkans.
One thing I haven't been able to get a read on is Russia's thoughts on an emerging China. I would think they would be threatened and equally concerned with China as the West, but is the focus on Europe and the US more of a grudge-related prioritization?
Russia wants economic hegemony in Central Asia and China's Belt and Road project threatens their corner of the market, so to speak, but I don't think they see China as a territorial threat. Most of China's population and economy is situated on the coast. The border nearest Russia is uninhabitable wasteland, so the European border is a much higher priority. It's also WAAAY closet to Moscow, which to Russia is everything.
Putin is about to be elected leader for life, just like China's Jinping. Make dictatorship great again.
Very cool and very legal.
Trump on Xi Jinping. Source: for the love of God, no.
I feel like Russia had a problem with indefinite term leaders before.
Headline: a few decades in the future, Russia contemplates transplanting Putin's brain to a giant robot as his human body faces biological limits.
We have meme in Russia what real Putin died long time ago and was replaced by his clones. Every clone have different purpose.
This video was automatically created by Reddit to speech. The article and comments in this video were selected from Reddit according to their upvotes, and any paraphrasing was performed by smmry.com, without any human intervention.